Jesus, how long does it take? Alright, I'm gonna guess my audio's working. I have no idea if it actually is, so I'm just gonna have to hope. There we go. Cool. Audio's working. Nice. Ended up working anyway. Cool. Kinda glitchy, but we're good. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 2 of Formula 2 here in House of Racing. I am your main commentator, JPM13, but you can call me Helix or Jamie. We are here for qualifying 1 of 1, because it's not a full quali session, but we have 18 minutes of action ahead of us to decide who will be on provisional pole and then pole position, and who will be dead last in P18. Anyway, the Ferrari of IRT Kia already heading his way through the chicane, already backing off. Should be a nice straightforward line. 11 viewers now joining the stream. Welcome, welcome. The Ferrari now going into Villeneuve chicane, as it's been called, obviously because of the Ferrari driver Jacques Villeneuve. Nano, I was going to say Nano, Jesus, Nano in the Williams, currently just exiting Villeneuve chicane now, going up everyone, but we should continue to speed up as the session continues. Is IRT Kia going to let the Alpine by? Nearly a bit of a risk there, but it looks like Wizzy Boy now takes the lead of the qualifying session. So now we'll go on board with the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. Hope we are all having a fantastic time here for round 2. Anyway, back and forth the Alpine goes as he now goes down in elevation, going into the second last corner, take up some of the curb, back on throttle around one more time, and here we go for the first banker lap of Imola here for round 2 here, for F2 here for season 4, and here are over the line already. DRS, the only DRS zone here in Imola, already activated as that downforce now increases going down the straight, but also the straight line speed by 13 kilometers per hour. Nice little statistic for you. Through the first chicane with no big issues at all. Now continuing on, want to tap the brakes going into Villeneuve chicane once again onto the second part of the apex. Does well now going up in hairpin, purple in the first, but for how much longer? Looks like the Ferrari of Kia may have taken it away from him, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes later on. Either way, the Alpine of Wizzy Boy now continuing into the next corner, 2 gear shifts down and has invalidated. Unfortunate for the Alpine driver, not so unfortunate for the Ferrari. Unfortunately, it does look like he took the corner a bit slower than the Alpine, but he is unscathed by track limits. Comes up the hill, a little bit of teleportation there, but his wizardry has continued to slow down now. Either way, the Ferrari going right over the sausage curbs of the chicane with not too much happened to his floor, so not too bad from IRT Kia. His teammate also on a lap time, though a bit further behind him, just ahead of a Red Bull, currently going up in elevation. But sticking to IRT Kia around the final corner, what can the Ferrari set on the board? And nearly took himself out, had to squeeze Wizzy Boy. Kia goes 1:18.626. Zlippy will well and truly go quicker with a 16.510. Who can be next? It's going to be Marinov in the Red Bull with a 19.449. Looks like Driller has invalidated. What about the Red Bull? Well, Kookaburra's the next one up, 16.424. Looks like the Red Bull of Wave is next. Cross the line, it's a 25.956, but that's an outlap. Continuing to find the next couple of drivers to cross the checkered flag, at least the timing line. Chesney Riz currently seems to be on his fast lap, and he goes fastest, 15 flat. Fantastic job in the Alfa Romeo. Really nice to see some very big pace from Chesney Reese, which I need to remember to do. Old habits die quietly. Anyway, 1:15.449 from Flatbread. The Haas goes up to P2. Very solid job, but still 4/10 off the Alfa Romeo of Chesney Reese. So still quite a distance between P1 and P2. Let's go back up the field. You can see Chesney currently on a lap, P17, but he has invalidated. Wizzy Boy did invalidate. He's gone purple in the seconds. We'll go on board with the Alpine now. Currently going down in elevation, should be flat to the little bit more time, use a bit more of the track, don't use the barrier though, you can invalidate. It's a 14.2 and it's 8/10 quicker than Chesney Reese. Fantastic stuff in that Alpine. Bringing it back to the Season 2 glory days. What a start from Wizzy Boy. Love to see it. Driller Bonds in the Ferrari now goes P4, 115 flat, and only by 600ths of a second is where Chesney Reese still stands. Dar Wizzy has done fantastic on that first lap, 14.897, and the track is only going to continue to grip down. So I wonder what people like Wizzy Boy and Dar Wizzy will be able to achieve, and including the people who are currently on a 15 flat will also be able to achieve once the track continues to rubber down. Let's go down further now. Matty Rambo in the Alpine, currently on a fast lap, sees himself in P13, but for how much longer? The Alpine now taking all that distance plus a little bit of DRS to a 16.180. He goes P8 ahead of 5 other drivers. What about Ito Ida in the Mercedes? Does invalidate, but he'll be on a fast lap before these other drivers finish up their outlap, and he'll be starting off a new one now on one degraded old soft compounds, goes onto the main straight. DRS fully active for that 13 kilometers of extra speed in the tank. Now goes into the braking zone into 1 and then 2 of the chicane. Does a fantastic job. Continuing on, uses up majority of that curb. Could have used some of the AstroTurf, but no complaining from the Mercedes. Now going through Villeneuve chicane. Once again, incredible job from the Mercedes, who's now on slightly less rubber than what other drivers would be. Also switch over to people like Nano and PGS Cyril once this lap is completed. Anyway, Ito Ida currently going through what is pretty much a fast hairpin, or more just a kink in turn. Wouldn't even really consider it much of a turn. And has invalidated for a second time running. Unfortunate for the Mercedes. So let's go to Nano then. The Williams currently going through the second sector. Now going downhill. Full flat to the floor. And should be here before eventually reaching the braking zone. Up the hill, does very well through there. Beautiful apex cornering from the Williams. Now going into the next braking zone, purple in the second, so the Williams is setting quite a decent lap time at the moment with a very nice looking Williams livery to accompany it. Anyway, going back down the hill, once you obviously complete that chicane, going into the second last braking zone, uses a lot of curb. Too much can be a bit excessive and can cost you some lap time. Looks like Nano won't lose too much if it was excessive, and across the line it's a 16.728, and the Williams goes P11. Blanca Paloma, I don't know how to say it, Blanca Paloma in the Mercedes on medium compounds, most likely trying to save a pair of soft compounds, but it's definitely an interesting strategy when it comes to the Mercedes side of the garage. Anyway, how's Cyril doing? Well, he backed out of it, unfortunately, and looks like Chesney invalidated on his lap now that his tires are 1 lap in degradation. Astronomy says, so get Wizzy into F1. From what I heard, the only reason Wizzy isn't in F1 was... Do I even need to go out again? I think the only reason he's not in F1 was for the simple reason he couldn't make the times. But Wizzy, you're in chat, so you can explain why you're not in Formula 1. The Switchblade JW in the AlphaTauri hasn't set down a lap time. He's currently on the soft compounds and is now running as fast as he can. Does well through the first couple of corners in the chicane. Bro, that's faster than my time trial. Actually, that makes sense, because think about it, you have ERS. No, but think about it, Wizzy. You've got ERS, right? And yes, you have tire deg, but think about it. You have more rubber on track, and you have ERS. Plus, maybe you just feel less nervous. Who knows? Either way, the AlphaTauri currently going through the second sector as he now heads back downhill. Should be flat through this entire section. Brakes a little earlier compared to other drivers. Hits a bit of that sausage curb, so he does lose the rear end, but he's able to keep the car going, continuing through there before reaching the braking zone. 1-2 corners. Wizzy Boy is so confident that he can get this done that he's already collision with Flatbread, the Haas driver, obviously retired. I'm gonna guess that's why he retired then. You can see it through the first chicane. There happened to be an incident, and that has now seen Matty Rambo on the back fence. Either way, Switchblade goes ahead of his teammate of Sir Nikolai and goes P12 in the AlphaTauri. His teammate well and truly doing some interesting maneuvers to get out of the way of other drivers, but if it gets the job done, not much complaining. How's IRT Kia getting along? Well, currently going through the chicane. Already set down a lap time, but it was an 18.626. Lost a bunch bunch of time out to people like Wizzy Boy, he was squeezing out on the final straight. And to be fair, Wizzy, if you have nothing to do, you could report Kia for squeezing you. That is something you could do if you're on a fast lap. Anyway, the Ferrari going downhill, getting an interesting slipstream as he eventually goes into the braking. Now back uphill in the same place that he invalidated before, he invalidates again. So the Ferrari still going to stay in P14. Ida on another fast lap. Obviously the Mercedes not happy with what's happened so far. Wave Dre currently P3 with a 14.942. His teammate P6 Marinov with a 15.299. Drill Bonds has done well in the Ferrari, well and truly outpacing Kia with a 15.098, which is pretty much where you want to be when it comes to the top 5. Once again, Darwizzy and Wizzy Boy, both the Wizzies well and truly can relax and sit up a nice chair, but maybe Darwizzy could be a bit more on the defense, because he's got Wave Dre, Chesney Reese, and Driller Bonds all to worry about. Either way, back to Ida. It's been a rough lap, really. It's been a bit messy when it comes to putting it all together, but it's a 17.822. It's a time on the board, and it's P14, just ahead of the Ferrari of IRT Kia. How's Cyril getting along? Well, he invalidated on his first lap, so we'll be making sure not to do that again here in the Williams. Brakes very nicely back up in elevation, uses all of that curb to his absolute advantage. We've seen some people just get a bit of oversteer as they go on throttle a little too early and invalidate, but Cyril is putting it all together here. Fantastic job from the Williams. It'll be very interesting to see what he can set on the board now, as he now reaches the 1 minutes, so should be nice and quick going into the second last corner. Quickly followed up, nearly going over that white line. That was flashes away from it, but keeps it all in check, and it's going to be a 4.16 flat. Thought he might make it into the 15s, but just out of it. P9 for Cyril, nevertheless, and well and truly ahead of Nano for the time being. But speaking of Nano, he's improved by 0.2 of a second. Let the wicked be in peace, and they will do some madness. And looks like Nano is well and truly doing that at the moment. Going into the braking zone, he's now up a 10th, so he's lost a 10th through the first and now second, second and now third sector. But the Williams can still improve and bring himself closer to his teammate and closer to higher positions. Going into the braking zone, uses once again a lot of curb there. Potentially a bit excessive, but we don't have active delta. We're just going off each sector. So what can the Williams set on the board? 16.6, and it's P13 for Nano. It's an improvement, and now only 3 positions off his teammate and 1 position higher than where he was before. Cannot complain about that. Either way, Blanca Paloma currently now on the soft compounds. He was running mediums for a while, but finally making that step to go onto the soft compounds. Continuing on now onto the curb, does a fantastic job here. Now down in elevation, should pretty much need to take that flat, but not feeling brave today, the Mercedes, and decides to lift before braking. Either way, should only lose maybe 4 or 5 tenths from that. So if he can gain it all back in the last part, which it doesn't look like he's done, taking much less curb than other drivers, but either way, the Mercedes will now continue downhill into the braking zone, does well, rotates the car fantastically, using that bright highlight yellow helmet with a highlight yellow halo to come with it. Across the line, Blanca Paloma goes P15 just ahead of his teammate, and Mercedes well and truly on the back end here in qualifying for the time being. What about Drill Bonds? What's he's doing? He's currently on 2-lap-old soft compounds. I don't see him improving by any means. You have a couple people, however, who are on soft compounds on an out lap, and a couple people who have already switched, waiting for a better opportunity. We'll switch to Switchblade unless Marinov, the dark blue dot on the track map, looks to be ahead. So we'll actually switch to the Red Bull here, and we'll see if he'll go ahead of his teammate Marinov across the timing line to get going. So what can he do on this run out? DRS now fully active through this main straight event before eventually reaching the braking zone. Over one curb, then the other, does a fantastic job before reaching the exit of the chicane. It's not a quick run though. You eventually go into a quick braking zone which takes you into Villeneuve chicane. Once again, does a fantastic job of that. His teammate not far behind on an outlap. could be more beneficial as slipstream once Wave Tray does get on a fast lap. Either way, Marinov going up the hill before eventually reaching the braking zone, tapping once, twice, and 3 times, gear shifting downwards before going downwards in elevation, follows it all the way through, having that bravery that people like Bianca Palamona did not have, but does have in Marinov. Either way, going into the braking zone for the chicane, uses up curbs that once again other drivers did not, and that Red Bull is showing much more confidence here in Imola, here at the Imola Romagna Grand Prix. I've missed like 15 words and I'm not planning on trying to saying it all. Either way, Marinov around the final corner. What can he do in P6? How can he improve? Looks like he will improve, however, and it will become a 14.7, and it's P3 for Marinov. Fantastic stuff. Wave Tray stays P5, can see himself improving, especially seeing that he's on new rubbered down soft compounds, but what an improvement from Marinov. Fantastic stuff. Driller Bonds now P2 with the 14.607, is an outlap on new compounds, so we could actually see maybe Wizzy Boy's so gifted provisional pole could be stricken here. 2 minutes left on the clock, and it's way too late for Wizzy Boy to come out. He actually has retired, so there's no actual opportunity. Let's go to Matty Rambo, because he's the only one that's actually on a fast lap at the moment, who is on new tyres. That's also Chesney Reese, see if he's ahead, but he's invalidated. That is why we didn't see any improvement from him. Either way, the Alpine isn't invalidated. It says he's 15 seconds slower, and you know what? I might believe that. He's on a 1:16 at the moment. He's already well and truly slower than his last time. So let's go to the front of the field. Chesney Reese has invalidated, so we'll switch to Darwizzy in the Haas. The American team will be looking to score big, and they are already scoring big here in Imola, seeing himself in P4, a very solid position where you could see big gains in the race. Does well going up in elevation, and the Haas is on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. What about Driller Bonds? Looks like he's now starting his fast lap. We'll come back to him later, but Nano's on a fast lap. We'll have to go back to him, but it is the front of the field that we are mainly focused on, ladies and gentlemen. What speed he carried through that chicane. Fantastic stuff from the Haas of Darwizzy. Now we'll continue down the hill, and Astronomy slash Darwizzy slash many other names in the previous generations of House of Racing will now come around the final corner, flat to the floor, pedal to the metal. What can the Haas set on the board? It's a 14.697 and can only manage P3. What about Chesney Reese? He's finally on a fast lap again, has to back out of it. Just completely messed up that entry. What about Driller Bonds? He's 55 hundredths down on his time. The Ferrari needs to find some big improvements if he wants to see himself in a higher position than where he currently stands. Right now, Wizzy Boy seems to have the time he needs and has invalidated. Driller Bonds cannot see any further improvements. What about Nano? Looks like he couldn't improve, stays P13. Matty Rambo has well and truly not improve. Cyril's a 10th up on his time right now. Looks like the Ferrari of Kia's going to cross the line, stays P17. That is a very unlucky session for Kia. Next one across the line will be Cyril. How can he improve? 15.836. It's P10. Top 10 finish for the Williams is not too bad, but how can Kookaburra come along? He'll be the next one across the line. P11 stays behind, actually no, goes ahead of Cyril as Lippy also improves to P10. The Aston Martin of Chesney moves up to P5. Very solid job from there. What has Darwizzy done so far? 4.7 seconds down on his time. What about Bianca Paloma? What can the Mercedes do with his time? So Nikolai is also on a last fast lap, but looks like he's potentially backed out of it. So that could be it, with Nano also potentially not going quick enough. 16.484, 5/10 improvement. Moves himself up to P16 behind Ito Ida. What's Nano going to do? Looks like he's not going quick enough. Stays P14. So the only man not across the line is well and truly going way and truly too slow and has invalidated. So with everything now done and dusted, your man on pole position here for Imola for round 2, season 4 here in Imola. It is Wizzy Boy at the Alpine. Fantastic stuff from that man driving for the French team. I'll be honest, I don't like French people, but they make some mid cars. Honestly, Renault is pretty shit when it comes to making cars. Apologies for the language. The Clio's nice, and so is the Megane, but then like Alpine's cars are kind of crap. I did like the original A110 from 1972. That was really nice. But then the 2017 A110 was kind of dull, and I didn't like the halo lights. Either way, this is not about other cars outside of Formula 1, outside of House of Racing. The man driving for the French team on pole position, it is Wizzy Boy taking P1 by 0.3 of a second, so the gap did close at the very end of it, but not too bad from Wizzy Boy. It is a 14.235. P2 is Drillabonds in the Ferrari 14.607, and Darwizzy in the Haas with a 14.697. That is your top three. Flatbread says, for real though, French people are beep. I don't want to swear too much. This league's a bit more strict on it, and I respect their rules. Either way. 12 people now joining the stream. Thank you for joining in. It is Wizzy Boy on pole position. And now it is a waiting game ahead of us. I'm gutted. I don't think I could have got it, but maybe closer. Maybe. Don't know. Either way, we wait for the drivers. I'm going to guess there's no formation lap. There was no formation lap for Formula 1 last week. I'm going to guess there's no formation lap for Formula 2 this week. Here for round 2, here for Imola. The pit crew is stretched and ready. The drivers have warmed up in the car strategy, well and truly set. And we have 50% of what a normal race worth of action ahead of us. Hopefully no red flags. Hopefully no interruptions. Oh, your bonds. Got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights go out, and it's pedal to the metal for the Imola Grand Prix, and what a getaway from Wizzy Boy, already well and truly away. The Ferrari a 10th down. Drillabonds looking for an opportunity going into turn 1. Will he get it? No, he won't. Nearly 0.2 of a second, and Marinov up to P3. Fantastic job from the Red Bull. He's already on the attack against the Ferrari. Can he get the slipstream he needs to get it done? Doesn't look like he will going into Villeneuve chicane. Done very well here for Darwis. He stays in P4 where he started. Chesney stays P5. Great job from the Aston Martin to be consistent, and a contact between Darwizzy and the Haas and the Ferrari of Drillabonds has given a fantastic opportunity to the Aston Martin. Can he get the opening he needs? No, he's backed out of it, braking early to avoid any more further contact. Very smart move from the Aston Martin. Let's continue down the pack. You can see the Alfa Romeo of Chesney Reese currently looking for the attack against Kookaburra. Kookaburra has done well to get up to P6. The McLaren making multiple positions in the first couple of corners. The Williams of Nano already up to P9, does a fantastic job, but he's going to be on the attack against Sir Nikolai. Also seems to lose the rear there, so that's going to give a much bigger opportunity to the AlphaTauri, and you can see right at the back of the pack, IRT Kia is really struggling, and Wave Dre is going to take this opportunity with the horns. Blanca Paloma, unfortunately, has made many mistakes, down to P18, and Wizzy Boy on the first lap will regain P1 with no mistakes, no issues, and that is fastest lap as well. Marinov is now up to P2 as he's made the move on the Ferrari of Drillabonds. He'll be looking for another opportunity against the Red Bull. Wizzy Boy's gone wide, and this is going to be a potential comeback. What at the momentum that Ferrari has, and just a simple break a little later going into Villeneuve chicane. It is the Red Bull of Marinov who now takes the lead of the Imola Romagna Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff from Marinov. Just looking to see if there's going to be any type of momentum or slipstream being used. Looks like a little bit of ERS. Is he going to send it? No, he doesn't. Fantastic driving from the two in P1 and P2. Wizzy Boy will still be on the attack against the Red Bull, but no openings against him at the moment. Marinov stays in P1, but for how much longer? Wizzy Boy got much better exit compared to the Red Bull. Down the inside looks to be the go for him. One curb and then the other, but the Red Bull's also centered a bit down. Doesn't look like it's paid off for him though. More momentum from the Alpine has meant that he's taken back the lead of the Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff from the Alpine. Drillabonds has also had a very decent return to top 3 here, as he'll be looking for an opportunity to try and sneak into one of the higher grid positions. You also have the Haas of Darwizzy starting to sneak up on the field. You have 4 drivers all in 1 second of a gap. Fantastic stuff. 1:18.671 goes Darwizzy, and in the Haas, fastest lap goes to him in P4, but the top 3 well and truly locked out for the time being, and Marinov has unfortunately struggled out of the exit of the first apex of the chicane. Doesn't look like Drillabonds will get the momentum momentum he needs to make the move stick, and going into Villeneuve chicane breaks that little earlier, goes onto the gravel. Darwizzi now gets a much better opportunity. Can the Haas make the move stick against the Ferrari? Couple of mistakes on the exit, just going a bit wide has allowed for some fantastic opening moves here in the opening couple of laps. Kookaburra now down to P6 as Chesney regains P5 from the McLaren. Fantastic stuff on that side, and Sir Nikolai in the AlphaTauri seems to have a very solid gap between P6 and P8. Following further down the grid, you can see a bit more of a cluster of cars all starting to join back up, but it still seems to be quite a long way to go for a lot of these, especially for someone called Blanca Paloma in the Mercedes down in P18 with a penalty already against his name. Unfortunate for him. Moving back up the field, have a look at the top four, all still in 1 second of each other. Fantastic driving, well, at least 6/10 of each other really. But now, and we'll get a very easy run through going into turn 1 and then the turn 2 chicane, and it means that the Red Bull back up to P1 and Wizzy Boy now at a disadvantage, but for how much longer? He'll get DRS next lap if he does not make the move at any other point in the track. Looks like Red Bull did struggle on the braking though, so that gives a bigger opportunity to the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. Continuing through, you can see Darwizzy in the Haas. Is he looking for an opportunity? Doesn't look like he'll get one. Kookaburra with a 3-second time penalty against his name, the second person to do it so far on lap 4 of 32. Plenty of laps left to come, and plenty of laps already sent down the drain for PGS Cyril. The Williams has made a mistake. He's down to P16. Will Kia even get by him? Doesn't look like he'll get close enough, but the Williams unfortunately losing multiple positions. Wizzy is down to P4. A potential mistake or some type of slipstream or just a push by another driver has seen the Alpine fall multiple positions, and that is very unfortunate. IRT Kia with a 3-second time penalty. That is unfortunate for the Ferrari with P17 and 18 both having penalties against the name, and then 10 positions higher than Blanca Paloma is Kookaburra with also a penalty, but Blanca Paloma is just going to increase that amount. So what can Darwizzy do? He's got DRS. Ferrari has none. Great slipstream. He's going to follow it through with no problems at all. Will to will going into the first corner. Can he get it done? The Ferrari's gone wide into the gravel. So Nikolai's going to take the opportunity, and safety car has been deployed. I'm going to guess potentially because of gravel or potential debris out on track, but because of something that's happened, safety car's now been deployed, ladies and gentlemen. Unlucky, and that is going to be devastating for someone like Marinov, who was 2.5 seconds up the road from P2. Darwizzy took the opportunity when he could up to P2, luckily, but will he get a penalty for potentially pushing Driller Bonds? He was P2 if I wasn't wrong, and Darwizzy, yeah, it was Driller Bonds in P2, Darwizzy was P3, Darwizzy sent it down the inside, pushed Driller Bonds, and the Ferrari went into the gravel, and that allowed Wizzy Boy up to P3, and Driller Bonds now down to P4, so isn't affected too much, but he's going to have dirty, slick tyres, and that is going to take a couple of laps to really wear off. But because of that, and even under safety car conditions, if he goes offline, he's just going to pick up some dirty pieces of rubber that's been flinged off by other drivers, including himself, feeding what was put down by his own manufactured tyres. That would be interesting. And Marinov making the surprise entrance into the pit lane. Unfortunately, we haven't actually had any detail on. I forgot to get that on the board, and I do apologize. Either way, that now sees Darwizzy and the Haas take the lead of the Grand Prix. 5-lap-old medium compounds for the most of these guys, and Drill Bonds is going to fall down a long way. He's gone on to fresh new mediums, Marinov onto fresh new hard compounds, and the whole pack has slowed down now that Darwizzy has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. So, we wait patiently and carefully, but a long way to go. Joke that was, yeah. So, Bonds, now that you're in the Twitch chat and we're under safety car conditions, can you give your side of the story when it came to that? Because we also just need something to talk about, and I feel like that little incident going into turn 1 would be an interesting one. Also, because I'm FIA, so if you do report it, it gives me a bit more of an idea. So if you do have your side of the story, Bonds, let me know. Astronomy says, I am so beep sorry. Unfortunate from Astronomy, who also known as Darwizzy, unfortunately did hit the Ferrari of Driller Bonds, who now sees himself in P14, most likely with front wing damage and on the medium compounds. Flatbread says, I swear someone just didn't break into turn 1. Potentially Flatbread, potentially. Potentially someone's tire is as soft as Flatbread, but anyway, Bonds says, I was holding line into turn 1 and he just straight into me on the racing line on the straight. Yeah, well, if you've got some type of review or not review, but some type of like footage of what happened, then you can report that to the FIA after the race is done, or now if you decide to retire. But don't do that, because there is any opportunity at coming back, especially seeing that you're on fresh new compounds. So Nikolai said someone just sent it into turn 1. That might be Wave Dre or Chesney Reese, but also consider, actually no, it wouldn't be, because look, they're all on new fresh compounds. It might be Kia. Yeah, it did. Pilata. It screwed Marinov big time, really, but he sees himself in P13. He has caught up to the rest of the field, and now that he's on new compounds, he will have more grip compared to the rest of the field. But was that call for a switch of tires? Maybe just a pinch too early from the Red Bull, especially seeing that safety car will most likely come in at the end of this lap. Either way, Driller Bonds in P14 unluckily got hit from Darwizzy, who now sees himself in P1, could be penalised after the race is done. Chesney Reese, as well as Blanca Paloma, Wave Trey, and IRT Kia, all in a bit of a weird situation there, but all on fresh new compounds. And then from P12 above is everyone who has not come into the pit lane. We'll switch to Darwizzy, with a potential chance that the FIA will call in the safety car. Been out for a couple of laps. Debris or any type of gravel that has landed on the track should be picked up by now, so we wait patiently. Will the FIA keep this out for another lap, or no it isn't? Race control. Safety car is in this lap, ladies and gentlemen. And just like said in the Twitch chat, a potential screw-in strategy with the Red Bull of Marinov, who had a perfect couple of few laps, took it all clean up to P1, but now it is Darwizzy who leads us away, and it's a question of when will he pull the trigger, playing with the throttle, playing with the emotions and hearts of the Alpine team and Wizzy Boy and the rest of the field. And he's pulled the trigger, and the Haas finally getting going. ERS now being activated and getting a bit of a jump on the Alpine, but for how much longer? He's going to have the slipstream and a bit more momentum if he uses up a bit more ERS. The Haas is already on the back of the field here, and have a look at Wizzy Boy going into turn 1. He's going to take the inside leg. Down the inside goes the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. For how much longer? Goes sent wide, but it is too late for Darwizzy. Already up to P1 goes the Alpine, and this is crucial for Wizzy Boy to make the move. Stick in Kookaburra down to P18. Sir Nikolai's also down to P17 now. A couple of people out of position, unfortunately. Some type of incident or mistake for the McLaren and AlphaTauri, as they now see themselves in 18th and 17th. But good getaway from Wizzy Boy. Let's continue down the field. You can see quite a field battle at the moment. 3 wide as we go into the next couple of corners. Switchblade now P6 with Flatbread in P7, and Zlippy currently seeing himself in P5, but for how much longer? That is really just the question of if he can start pulling away from the drivers behind. Let's also see Chesney Reese is up to P11. Fantastic stuff as he's now on those new compounds. And have a look at Marinov, already up to P9. That Red Bull might be onto something with this strategy call. Now up to P8 as now Driller Bonds also up to P9. Matty Rambo seems to be struggling with the grip of his car. We'll continue up the field where we can once again see Wizzy Boy nearly pulling away by 1 second. And because there's no DRS for 3 laps worth of action, if he's going to use ERS, I'd suggest using it now if I was his race engineer. Anyway, Chesney and the Aston Martin's done well as well, up to P3 now. He's looking for a move. Nano's done well because he stayed out. He's up to P4. Zlippy's P5 is looking for an opportunity. Doesn't look he'll get it, however. 3-second time penalty for Flatbread in the Haas. He's currently in P7 and might be attacked by the Red Bull of Marinov. Those new fresh compounds will be a big disaster for the Haas and a big danger for the American team. Looks like a bit of lag there there, glitching out the Haas of Flatbread, gives a much bigger opportunity to Driller Bonds, and he takes the opportunity by the horns that Red Bull no longer seemed to have, and the Ferrari's up to P8. Fantastic move by Driller Bonds, also on those newer compounds and softer compounds compared to the hards. He's on the medium, so obviously less tyre pressure in those compounds. We'll continue back up the field. Darwizzy in P2. He's now 6/10, seeming like he's trying to stay as close as he can to Wizzy Boy, but compared to ERS usage, looks like the Haas is running out at a rapid, immense pace. It might be a Wizzy Boy W at the moment with the amount of pace he's currently travelling, but because he hasn't come into the pit lane and he needs to continue to grow out this gap with with Driller Bonds now making the move on Marinov, he's currently the closest to taking P1 at the moment, and with that momentum, he's not even going to have DRS on this lap, but the Ferrari has so much more just mechanical grip and tyre grip because of those fresh new medium Pirellis, oven baked to a T, that he's now up to P7 with absolute ease, and the Red Bull of Marinov will follow it through and looks like a bit more momentum just because the hard compounds will be that little bit harder on pressure. It can go a bit longer, so it is a good race tyre, especially on the long runs. Either way, is he going to try and make a move back? A lot of lag now from some of these drivers. Just looks like some internets aren't as strong as others. Looks like almost 5 collective here as a group as they go up the hill, going into the next corner, slings it around, taps the brakes. Let's continue back up. Chesney still in P3 in the top 3, has not changed since it has. Lippy has made a mistake onto the grass, potentially went into the gravel, and the McLaren now down to P14 as he continues to get overtaken, looking for a much more cleaner area to finally overtake. The Ferrari nearly hits him, and then there's a Blanca Paloma. The Mercedes has unfortunately made a mistake, and Ida is also making many mistakes. Look, going back and forth on the throttle, finally starting to get it going, but unfortunate for both Mercedes. He's now going to be 12.79, 13 seconds now. It's continuing to increase, and that Mercedes is definitely on what would be called a back foot, that is for sure. Now Chesney 1.9 seconds off the Haas of Darwizzy. Looks like the top two are really starting to pull away, but let's be honest, Wizzy Boy is also starting to pull away once the gap can finally increase. Looks like another mistake. Marinov, the Red Bull, down to P11, a mistake on his behalf. Looks like he's got some dirty slick tires, so it looks like he's gone onto the gravel or grass, and now he's being attacked by Cyril in the Williams. Whatever has happened to the Red Bull, and a strategy that was going so well for the driver has backfired. Right like his exhaust. Unfortunate for the Red Bull, and looks like more position losses for the Williams. He's really starting to struggle. McLaren's going to get past him. Lippy's back up to P14, and this is a real big mess for some of these drivers at the moment. Really can't keep the car on track. Maybe just getting the tires too overheated, too much degradation. There's a lot of factors that can play into this, which is why maybe hard compounds could be the better long-term choice. Wave Dre currently sees himself in P7. Wizzy Boy still 7/10 ahead of Darwizzy. Nothing has happened at the top 3 for the time being, but we could potentially switch to Driller Bonds. Have a look at this. 5-6 drivers all in a collective, all looking to try and gain positions. They'll all get DRS off of each other up to Switchblade, and now have a look at this. Looks like it's going to be the closest driver being nano overtaken by Chesney Reese, the Alfa Romeo, doing a fantastic job on those hard compounds, going into the first and then second corners known as the first chicane. Looks like the Williams is also going to start being pressured by Wave Dre and the Red Bull. Majority of the people who boxed under safety car are seeing a lot more benefits unless they made a mistake. Flatbread in P8 looks like he's now going to get past the Red Bull of Wave Dre, as looks like Wave Dre's gone wide, but for how much longer? That inside line is crucial at a corner like that, and Wave Dre's just going to get down on the throttle that little bit quicker. What about the teammate to Wave Dre? Marinov made a mistake, had a much bigger opportunity at potentially a podium, potentially even a win where his current position stands, but that is well and truly thrown out the window, and he can mainly get maybe a potential P4, P5, but unfortunate for him. Driller Bonds is still not doing too bad, 1.2 seconds, but he has a penalty against his name. Sees himself in P4, and he's continuing to gain on Chesney in P3. The Aston Martin will be looking for a better opportunity. Let's move back down where you can see Switchblade is 0.2 of a second off Flatbread, and Flatbread is 0.2 of a second off Wave Dre. Once again, a big DRS train really starting to form here. Bad exit from Flatbread. 3-second time penalty to IRT Kia as it pops up on the top of the screen. So it looks like a much better momentum, much better slipstream for the AlphaTauri with that DRS and rear wing fully open for his taking. He might get the momentum even to make the move on the Red Bull of Wave Dre. Can't get it done, but he's up to P7. Fantastic job from the AlphaTauri, and the Hasses and the AlphaTauris, who look so similar in color and shape, really are kind of hard to identify when you don't look at the names. And Zlippy in the McLaren looks like he's retired in the pit lane. Unfortunate for the McLaren. Ida 32 seconds down on the clock. You have to respect that he hasn't retired yet. A lot of drivers would. And contact! Contact made between three drivers. Safety car deployed, and that's the Alpine of Matty Rambo, the teammate to Wizzy Boy, is in the barrier, and you can see the debris. No front wing on the AlphaTauri of Sir Nikolai, and Nano was also collected in it. You can see a missing end plate on the front wing. Anyone who did not box, people like Wizzy Boy, people like Darwizzy, people like Chesney are all really going to benefit here. Even people like Driller Bonds is staying out, or coming in, sorry. Chesney Reese is coming in. All of them are coming into the pit lane. The only man who won't be so far, and it looked like Wave Dre was going to make it, but he didn't. So now he's going to move all the way up to P1. Wizzy Boy will now fall down to what looks to be P3 for the time being. We're probably going to be seeing a couple more drivers making the move to stay out, but the Alpine will not be under attack by the time he comes out of the pit lane, so the Alpine will move down to P3, and honestly, that's worked out well for Wizzy Boy. He's going to be on 8-lap newer tyres compared to the two Red Bull drivers, Marinov and Wave Dre, and Wave Dre's been disqualified. Maybe too many penalties or some type of contact made to a driver, but he's been red flagged, and that is it for the Red Bull. Wave Dre is out of the session. That is the second driver to be black flagged. Two drivers black flagged, 3 to DNF. What a race we've had so far, under 14 of 32 laps of racing. Right now it is Marinov who leads us away under 8-lap old tyres, with Wizzy Boy now pretty much seeking every advantage he could possibly get from this. All he needs is a good start on the restart, and he could see a very easy move. The Alpine has been well and truly at the front of the field since the very start, and any incident, any mistake, any safety car that's come into the field has not upset the Alpine driver, that's for sure. Darwizzy's up to P3, but a potential penalty after the race could be served if a ticket is created and a report is made for the FIA, and the Haas would have to do that if they really feel like they need to push it. Either way, Chesney has done well, really. He's been quite consistent. He's had some very decent battles in the Aston Martin. Started P5, he's now P4. He was in P3 at one point in the race. With safety car now deployed, he's now down one position. But yeah, this is not good for the Red Bull of Marinov, and this was a different safety car, but once again, the safety car has screwed over Marinov's potential strategy payoff. And yeah, Wizzy Boy staying out just happened to be the better call for Alpine, because now it's seen Wizzy Boy in a very much prime position to take the win at the moment. But anything can happen. This is House of Racing, so it is really just a question on if and when. But either way, it stays how it is for the time being. Continuing down the field, you can see IRT Kia P6 with Driller Bonds P5. The Ferrari has done well to make quite a recovery, but both drivers, well, at least one of them is on 9-lap old compounds, one is on 1, but both of them do have a penalty against their name, so I'm sure in the Scuderia's backyard, it's not going to be too helpful for the Ferraris to be in that position, especially seeing that another hometown car, being the Alfa Romeo of Chesney Reese, will unfortunately have no penalty against him. Well, unfortunate for the Ferraris, fortunately for Chesney Reese, and on the medium compounds he'll be gaining a lot more grip, but can those mediums last from 15 to 32, or is he hoping for another safety car to come their way? 2 safety cars have now happened. 2 black flags and 3 DNFs. This has been one hell of a race so far, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Nikolai in P12, he'll be looking for an opportunity on restart, just like any of these drivers, but people without the penalties will be on the advantage. And right now, it's advantage Wizzy Boy. It's advantage Alpine. And it is a matter of time now. We'll switch to Marinov in the Red Bull. We wait patiently. We wait cautiously and carefully. When does the Red Bull decide it's time to go? Up to 4th, back down to 3rd. It looks like he's looking for a speedy getaway. But can he trick Wizzy Boy, the man who restarted last time out? The trigger has been pulled, and the Red Bull over the timing line. Green flagged, running once again here in Alpine. But 1/10 of a second. Here we go, the Alpine on the inside line. He'll be looking for an opportunity, looking for the move to take the lead of this Grand Prix with a penalty against his name. Wizzy Boy's going to take the patient option. He's not going to make the move stick, but he's looking for another opportunity, potentially more down the line. This sees him stay in P2 for the time being. Marinov stays in P1. Looks like a move can be made in the next couple of corners if the Alpine really wants to. And looks like he's going to get the momentum he needs. Taking the inside line once again. Down the inside. Locks the front. But doesn't look like he's going to be that affected. The Haas of Darwizzy's going to get much more momentum. Taking an outside. Switching to the inside. Has to back out of it, however. He'll be blocked out of position. This sees Wizzy Boy now stay up to P1. Fantastic job from the Alpine. Darwizzy's now up to P2 as there's just a lack of grip. 10 lap old hard compounds for the Red Bull. He'll really be on the back foot now, even though that safety car would be able to extend the life for a couple of laps. It really won't matter compared to these brand new compounds. Chesney currently P4. The Aston Martin should be able to make it up to P3 in the next couple of laps, especially seeing that once DRS is active, it's going to give him that huge advantage, especially on those new rubbered-in tyres compared to the 10-lap-old rubbered tyres that Marinov is running. Majority of the drivers now on hard compounds compared to Chesney Reese, who's decided to go for more grip and less tyre life. Currently sees himself in P6 with the Alfa Romeo carrying no penalties against his name, so it could be more beneficial later on. And Chesney's finally got the opportunity he wants. Once again, inside line going into the first corner. It's a chicane, but it's going to be once and well and truly done for Darwizzy. Has closed significantly. 3/10 is between P1 and P2, so it's really just a matter of time before we see any big fighting between these two drivers. Darwizzy sees himself in P2. Can he get it done? Can he make a move in the next couple of laps, especially once DRS is active and that rear wing has the opportunity to open? Will a move be done? We'll have to come back at them a little later on. Driller Bonds has done fantastically, especially on those brand new compounds. He's got a penalty against his name, but he's up to P4. Marinov down to P5. Once again, those 11-lap old hard compounds are not treating him well. And Chesney Reese, now in P6, will be the next target for the Red Bull. And how Marinov is going down, people are going up. It's pretty much a free position for majority, if not all drivers currently seeing themselves on the field. Now down the around the outside, really, but down the outside before switching around. Chesney Reese up to P5 by the time we reach the final corner, and Wizzy Boy with the fastest lap with a 17.492. Fantastic job. Purple lap secured and done and dusted for the Alpine, but it is not done and dusted for this race. Still 3/10 of a second separate P1 and P2. This fight is on at the moment, and the battle is on for the win of this race between the Haas and Alpine of Darwizzy and Wizzy Boy. We'll come back to them later on, like we said before. Seems to be some fighting and a couple of mistakes happening, and that is a mistake well and truly underway. Flatbread P12 looks like he might get overtaken by IRT Kia, and does, and the Haas has fallen down multiple positions, and it will not treat him right, as now in P13, that is not where he wanted to be. Unfortunate for the Haas. Kookaburra with another 3-second time penalty, stacking it up like he's Thanos with the glove. Either way, we'll move back up now. You can see Chesney Reese looking for an opportunity potentially on Driller Bonds. He is going to have more grip compared to those hard compounds, but he's going to lose it all in that last stint if he's going to stay on it till the very end. Lap 18 of 32, now 3/10 is the gap between them. DRS should be active this lap, unless it's already been active. Keep an eye on that rear wing if it already has, but it looks like it's really just a waiting game now. DRS is active. He's going to get the slipstream. You can see Wizzy Boy using a lot more of that ERS. He does not want to lose P1, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what? He's not going to lose it. He's going to keep it, at least for the time being, in the Alpine. Still in P1, and P1 for the time being is going to have the advantage over the Haas. Can Darwizzy now take it into Villeneuve chicane? No, not close enough. Tap on the brakes before continuing on, using a lot more sausage curb compared to Wizzy Boy. That can damage the suspension and the left side of the tyres. Well, right side really unfortunate for the Haas, but doesn't seem to be losing too much pace at the moment, so still gaining at the moment. We'll have to wait and see as the race continues to unfold, continue back down the field. Lots of up and down at the moment. It's really just a matter of your position and where the action is flowing through at the track at the moment, and where it's flowing through is P4 and P3, the fight for the podium. But you have to consider the penalty that is again, or penalties that is against Driller Bond's names. He sees himself in P4, but with Chesney Reese really starting to gain on him because he's had to brake slightly earlier, this gives a much bigger advantage to Chesney Reese that currently sees himself in P5. Can we see a potential move? Well, Driller Bond's currently getting a much better slipstream on the teammate to no one, because Chesney is the only Aston Martin on track at the moment. Looks like the Ferrari is going to get this done. Slipstream is active. DRS well and truly open with that rear wing fully at his advantage. Inside line, makes a move before he even makes a corner. Can Chesney Reese follow him through? Doesn't look like he'll be able to. Has to back out of it. Stays P5, and Driller Bonds in the Scuderia Ferrari here in Ferrari's backyard here in Imola gets it done, up to P3. Fantastic stuff. What about Darwizzi and the Haas? Only 3/10 now. Once again, the gap decreasing. Looks like a better exit from the Alpine. How about the ERS? What's the usage from them? They look to be pretty neck and neck. Nip and tuck for the rest of this race is what's happening at the moment. 12 laps left, and that would be 18 laps at the very end of this if these drivers do not box, if there is no longer any incidents to come against their names, come against anyone's names, come against the race itself or the track. PGS Cyril with a 3-second time penalty currently sees himself in P9, but he's going to see himself even lower if he continues to stack up more penalties against his name. Switchblade JW with a 3-second time penalty, unfortunate for him in the PlayStation user category. 9/10 of the gap once reaching sector 3, and so it's a big disadvantage for the Haas. He will get DRS, but he will definitely not be able to make the move even using full ERS usage. The Haas is not close enough to make the move on Wizzy Boy, and Wizzy Boy just showing a bit more raw pace and mentality than what the Haas has done. But what bad corners through there, and it's commentator's curse all over again. Darwizzi won't be able to make the move done, and it is the Wizzies fighting away. It's been the Wizzies since the very start of this race, and it's still the Wizzies right now here on lap 21 of 32. The race in action never stops here in House of Racing, and this is just showing how good this league can be, and he's actually going back and forth. Wizzy Boy trying to break the toe from the Haas in P2 and not actually able to do it. Actually an interesting spot to do it. You'd expect him to do it on the main straight, on the pit straight as some people would call it. Bit of a weird exit from the Haas, takes too much curb, gives the opportunity for Wizzy Boy to pull away, but everything resets once you get onto a chicane. Looks like a worse exit for the Haas, as that was pretty much silky smooth from the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. Let's continue down the track. We can see a bit of fighting happening at the moment, and have a look at this. McLaren down the inside. Red Bull's going to send it down the inside. A bit of contact between Sir Nikolai and Marinov, but up to P7 goes the Red Bull. Now P7 goes Sir Nikolai. Let's go to Darwizzi and Alpine, because have a look at this. The Haas looking for the opportunity. It's America versus France. We've seen it once. Now we potentially see it again. Is it gonna happen? But no, Darwizzi's just not close enough to make the move on Wizzy Boy. He gains, and then just loses out at the very end of it. And once again, the American team not showing the pace that the French team is currently showing on their backs. In Season 2, in Formula 2, we saw Wizzy Boy have the opportunity to be a part of Alpine, moved up to F1. Darwizzi gets a fantastic exit out of the next corner. Wizzy Boy stays in P1, however. Now in Season 4, he joins back with Alpine and currently leads this Grand Prix. He had 3/10 of a margin in qualifying. He has the pace to win this race, but with a fiery hot American engine, well actually it's an Italian engine, but with an American chassis, it is more just a matter of time before something does unfold. It's a bit of a weird one. It's like Ford versus Ferrari, except Ford actually decided to partner up with Ferrari instead of rivaling them. That is not a word, but we're going to roll with it anyway. It's America and Italy as a partnership making the Haas car come to reality, and can the Haas car get past the Alpine? This is the biggest opportunity they had. 0.2 of a second. It's going to decrease to 1/10. He needs to use a bit more ERS. Is he going to make the move outside line? Looks like he's not close enough again. And the Haas just can't seem to get it done. Is he going to get a better run through into the next corner? No. And once again, going into Villeneuve chicane, Wizzy Boy is just showing the raw pace that he needs without DRS. And have a look at this. Marinov in the Red Bull switching to soft compounds. Clearly going to steal away any fast lap. And Wizzy now making the move, but the Alpine's going to switch back. Why of all times do they decide to fight when I'm not looking? God, either way, the Haas does not have the momentum exiting the elevated hairpin, and allows Wizzy Boy to once again buy. Speaking of elevation, once again moving up, you don't want to take too much curb, but you also want to take some, otherwise you're going to see yourself struggling to make it up with that lack of grip on the offline line. And speak of offline, and speak of lack of grip, and speak of getting on the throttle that little too early, the Alpine once again at the disadvantage, and Wizzy Boy is really starting to open up the case of weaknesses that is shown in his inventory. But let's see what is in the inventory with that Ferrari engine, made in Maranello, made in Italy, with an American chassis, with an American team, with American sponsors. Can Haas get it done? DRS active, slipstream at an all-time high, but no, not close enough. And Wizzy Boy somehow lap after lap after lap is able to stay ahead of Wizzy. Somehow, some way, the Haas can't get by. Somehow, some way, the Alpine can stay ahead. How about Chesney Reese? He's 5/10 of a second, my apologies. He's on 10 lap old medium compounds. It's clearly going to be all the way to the end. It's going to be 18 lap old compounds by the end of this race, and we could see a huge dropout from the Alfa Romeo, but with a 7.6 second gap, which can increase because Sir Nikolai's been hit, and he's nearly hit the barrier there. Looks like he's just missed it, but now been hit by Kookaburra, who's up to P6. That was not clean running if I've ever seen it. And the AlphaTauri P8 now, losing 2 positions because of Kookaburra hitting his rear tire going up the elevated hairpin. And have a look at this. Chesney Reese is having the biggest opportunity of an overtake since he started being in P5. Once again, it's a battle between Alpha and Aston. Can he get it done? Just no, not yet at least. It's a matter of time. The Italians versus the British. Who will come out on top here? Chesney Reese looking for it, and well and truly getting it. DRS at an all-time high, and that slipstream being a huge advantage for him. P4 for Chesney Reese, and it's a spin for Chesney. It's Chesney versus Chesney, and it's Chesney in the Aston who unfortunately bails out of it, makes a mistake. He'll still be ahead of Cyril. And speaking of Cyril, another driver gets taken out by Kookaburra, and that's now 2 down. But plenty more to potentially go for the McLaren. Marinov with a 16.274. He currently sees himself in P10, obviously using the soft compounds to his advantage, looking for at least 2 points at the end of this race. You can see from P6 to P13, all of the drivers have a penalty against their name. And have a look at the Ferrari of Driller Bonds. Another 3-second time penalty against his name. Chesney Reese currently virtually sees himself on the podium. Fantastic stuff from the Alfa Romeo, from where he started to where he is now. Fantastic driving from the Italian team in their backyard here in Imola. Honestly, I'd actually consider Alfa Romeo's hometown Imola, and then Ferrari's hometown Monza, and it's Ferrari's backyard, which is Imola. That's what I consider it. Anyway, IRT Kia, the Ferrari, 50 seconds off Nano in P12. The Ferrari well and truly off the pace of his teammate, who will currently see himself potentially P5 by the end of this if Chesney and the Aston can gain. But making that mistake going into turn 1 looks like Driller Bonds could see himself in P4 by the end of this race, which honestly would work out pretty well. Wizzy's obviously up to P1 now. Wizzy Boy just looking for another opportunity. He finally got it done a couple laps ago. I'm sorry we missed it out, but with a constant back and forth, it was really just a matter of time. Really, it's fair game here. A lot of penalties against each other's names, but the only people who really haven't got one, apart from Chesney Reese and Chesney in the Aston, are these two, and they're fighting for the win, so it is fair game all the way to the checkered flag, and it could have been a penalty there, but missing out there. 5/10 is the gap between Wizzy Boy in the Alpine and Darwizzy in the Haas. It is America versus France, like we said, and it was an ally ship in the American Revolution, but it was a war in others. Who will come out on top now? DRS active, and oh my god, look at that momentum. And that French car using the Renault engine powered all the way to 11,000 RPM is going to have no troubles at all getting back up to P1. And the Alpine, no struggles. Does the Haas have the momentum to come back at him going into Villeneuve chicane? No, he doesn't, and he's back up to P1 well and truly, at least for the time being. One of these guys get a penalty, it could be game over. Outside, switching to inside, he's looking for a switchback of dreams, but can't get it done. The inside seems to be such a bigger advantage going up the hill, and doesn't look like it's going the way of Darwizzy at the moment, but we've seen it not go his way, and then we've also seen it not going Wizzy Boy's way. It is fair game between these drivers. It is the excitement building to the very end of this race. Looks like a bit of time loss is going to increase to 5/10 of a second going into the chicane. What can the Haas do? He needs to continue to find some time going over those curbs. Once again, Driller Bonds is doing well though. 4.5 seconds is the gap. Now 4.4, solid gaining at the moment, a 10th at the moment, but it won't really count because he's also got a penalty, and he's also got Chesney Reese on his backside. And Darwizzy currently sees himself in P2, but he's going to get DRS. He's going to get Slipstream. DRS active, and the American team using the Italian engine. It's really just an Italian stallion under American clothing, and it looks like the Haas, under very close and strict conditions, gets it done. Up to P1 goes the Haas. Fantastic stuff from these two drivers. Does Wizzy Boy look for a move, look for the risk? No, he doesn't. But if this was last lap, he needs to take a risk like that going into Villeneuve chicane. We've not seen one move going into Villeneuve chicane. All of them have been well behaved. But onto the final lap, we could see some very crazy behavior. Nano with a 3-second time penalty. Unfortunate for the Williams as he sees himself in P12. And I don't know why I keep saying Nano like a fucking 3-year-old. Sorry, apologies for the language. Either way, the Alpine continuing back up the hill, looking for Slipstream against the Haas of Darwizzy. And this fight continuing till the very end, till the checkered flag. Chesney Reese with a 3-second time penalty against his name. Still nothing unfolding on that side of the garage. But what is unfolding is the French team alighting into excitement, but just nothing yet. A bit of contact on the rear of the car, however, means we could see some excitement coming onto the main straight. DRS will be active for the Alpine. Is he close enough? He's got a 4/10 gap, so unless he's really starting to use some of that ERS, we could see big gains from the Alpine. And you know what? We're seeing some big gains already. 10th up, and he's going to be less than a 10th, but has to back out of it again. Just not close enough. And Wizzy Boy has been giving it his all, and Darwizzy has been giving it his all, and the Wizzies have been fighting to the very end, like I've been saying since lap 1, because it's true. This is a fight for the win, and it's a fight for the lead. And it's a fight well entertained. It's a fight well fought. It is clean, and it is very exciting, ladies and gentlemen. PGS Cyril with another 3-second time penalty against his name. We just wait. It's really just a waiting game between these drivers. And that could be game over for the Alpine. A man who looked so good from start to lap 28 on lap 29 with 3 laps remaining. And Darwizzy snaps back. He picks up a 3-second time penalty. We thought that might be it for Wizzy Boy. But because of the fact that the Haas has now picked up a penalty, Wizzy Boy's on the offensive. He's actually in a better advantage now, making a mistake in it not counting. Ida leaving the session. Something happening there. He's now DNF from the session. Clearly not happy with how it's gone. He looked on the Haas, and he knows with 2 laps remaining, he's got this in the bag now. There is no more competition to hold up the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. This is in the bag for the Alpine driver. Locked up going into the lower elevation, the biggest dip here in Imola. But it did not matter. It did not matter because the penalty is now gone in the way of Haas, and the win has swayed in the way of Alpine, and the French drivers, the French pit crew, the French people of Paris are going crazy, ladies and gentlemen, across the white line. That could have been a penalty against Wizzy Boy. He needs to be careful, because if this goes back to day.done, then this will be once again advantage for the American team of Haas, and it's gone in the advantage of the American team of Haas. And ladies and gentlemen, when we thought it couldn't get any more crazier, Wizzy's back at advantage. Penalty after penalty, dramatic session after dramatic session. It is Wizzy Boy who's going to get DRS plus ERS. We're starting the penultimate lap of this race, and it has not doubted us any less. Excitement inside line, done and dusted. Careful of the Ferrari who's coming to the pit lane. Looks like Driller Bonds has stopped on track. No, that's his teammate. Wizzy Boy into the first chicane, has got it done. P1 for the Alpine, and because of a 3-second time penalty on both their sides and a penalty against Driller Bonds, it's Wizzy Boy who takes the lead of this Grand Prix officially on track with penalties on his name. It will not matter, and this is a fight, ladies and gentlemen, till the very end. It's been a fight from lap 1, and it's going to be a fight till lap 32 of 32, and it has been a fight well deserved, and whoever that comes out on top deserves the win. Wizzy on the back foot now, 0.4 of a second off the Alpine of Wizzy Boy. Looks like they're finally starting to reach some back markers and blue flags. The teammate to Wizzy will be who he's going to blue flag. Unfortunate for Flatbread, whose AI has taken control and will most likely score no points because of it. And have a look at this. Goes wide, goes the Alpine, and he's going to send it down the inside. It's a late move, going into the final corner. And that was dirty if I've ever seen it, and quite a dirty move from the American team. We start lap 32 of 32, and the Alpine down the P2. Wizzy takes the lead of the Grand Prix, and if Wizzy Boy wants to win this Grand Prix, he needs to do it rather with penalties against the FIA, or just unfortunately needs to make the move stick. Already down to 1 second, but it looks like it's going in the way of the American flag with Haas. For how much longer, that is the real question, because the FIA, I'm sure, will be all over it. But we're not here to talk about the FIA. We're here to talk about the racing out on track. And what I'm seeing on track is not an Alpine. What I'm seeing on track is not a driver in front. What I'm seeing on track is a very good race and a very strong performance, apart from that final push on the final corner on lap 31. Going through the chicane, it's going to be a tight one, but Wizzy Boy is not going to be close enough. I'm sure it's going to go down to the steward's office. But on track here today, here at Imola, for round 2 for season 4, here for Formula 2, around the final corner, it's been a battle from lap 1 to 32 with 2 black flags and multiple DNFs. It's Wizzy on top. Wizzy Boy finishes in P2. P3 is Driller Bonds in the Ferrari. Chesney Reese, however, will take that away and take the podium position for himself. P5 will be Chesney in the Aston Martin. 13 seconds down, will not be close enough to get it done. P6 will be Kookaburra, at least for now. That depends on the penalties that eventually will come into fruition. P7 goes Kookaburra, so Nikolai moves up to P6. P8 is Marinov. P9 currently sees himself to be Cyril with 9 seconds down, being Switchblade. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to say what a race of racing, but what a race of controversy, of drama, of everything in between. PGS Cyril now crosses the checkered flag. You have 2 more drivers to watch. With 5 DNFs, 2 black flags, this was not clean. This was not healthy racing. But what I will tell you, it was dramatic and it was entertaining. And from the commentary box, it was a fun watch. I know once we get to the steward's office, it's all gonna change. But Sir Nikolai taking driver of the day, at least on the game. It's gonna be voted in the Discord server, and if you haven't seen the Discord server, it should be a link in the bio. If you need it updated, then you need to go friend Jenga Boy in the Discord so you can join the server yourself. It should also just be something that should be on Discord and in multiple different areas. Either way, it is the Haas on top. Darwizzy for now, but for how much longer is the real question. He lifts his trophy in celebration. The American team on top for now, but I'm sure the Alpine French drivers team, the fans all around the world will be in horror, in shock with that final shove on the penultimate lap going into the final lap. For now, however, that's how it ends. Thank you all for watching this Grand Prix. It is Darwizzy on top on track, but for how much longer is the real question. It is Wizzy Boy P2, the apparently Turkish driver, even though he's 100% English, and I'm not fighting this. The apparently Turkish driver in P2. P3 is Chesney Reese. What a comeback from the Alfa Romeo, and that is a position well and truly deserved. Remember what I said on the penultimate lap. Whoever wins this race deserves to win it as long as they keep it clean. Wizzy Boy, I'd like this time to just say that you're English, and yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, either way, so the English driver of Wizzy Boy finishing in P2, but I said on the penultimate lap, whoever won this race deserves it unless it's not clean, and it wasn't clean. It should be Wizzy Boy who wins this. I saw it. It shouldn't be the Haas who ends in victory, but we'll have to wait and see how that unfortunately plays out. That will unfortunately go into the FIA's hand, to the steward's office. But from me, in the commentary box, that's all I have for you here today, ladies and gentlemen. Second stream back, and it's good to be back in House of Racing once again, so I appreciate all the love and support that I've had since I've been back. Slow transition back, really, because I got to finish my season with BP Racing, and then that's when I'm, like, officially back. But I'm here. I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay for a long time to come. Unfortunate, just mixed opinions and thoughts really got in the way, and the wrong mindset was why I left. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Season 4 well and truly underway with drama and many things to come. Cheers and goodbye here from Western Australia at 4:15 in the morning. Please kill me.